this Red Hair We Care seminar. You can see a picture on the screen in a world where you can be anything, be a fabulous redhead. And that is actually the picture of my co-worker, Laura. Laura was going to be my co-host today, but unfortunately, due to family circumstances, she cannot join us. But I'm definitely certain that she is within her heart with us and we within our heart with her. But she was actually the perfect lady to introduce this seminar because she is a wearer of, let's say, a beautiful red shade, and she wears it very well, and it also suits her bubbly personality. For the ones that are joining us today, you might be still dropping in, let's say. You might already have some experience with the webinar and how it works, but please allow me to explain how it does work. So you are taking part as an attendee. That means that you are, let's say that you are muted and that you can type away in the chat box. You can also raise your hand if you want to ask a question, maybe live, so I can unmute you. But for now, if you are comfortable, please type away in the chat box. But you have to, let's say, think on, activate all panelists and attendees, because otherwise we cannot see that you are actually joining us or that you are typing within that chat box. So please activate all panelists and attendees, and let me double check if that is working. And maybe you can all type in the chat box from which city or maybe which country you are joining us today, because that's always nice to see from which part of the world people are joining us today. Paul, do you want to know?
Yeah.
You can also actually see in the chat box, huh? So I see some, let's say...
I see a Kettering. That's Stacey. She works for me.
Okay. South Africa, I see.
London.
Very cool.
Hungerford.
In the UK. So many people that have, let's say, sunny Ireland. Well, Niall, that's also not something that happens quite often, but I would say enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy myself. So, okay, cool, guys. So the chat box is definitely working. That is good to see. So welcome again, all of you. And today, as mentioned, we are going to talk about red hair and what actually are the key successful factors to achieve a beautiful, long-lasting red, because let's be honest, that's what all, let's say, consumers and also we stylists like to promise to our consumers. And as within our Joy Color portfolio, we have some guidelines for red hair, and Paul is also here today to join us to give us lots of tips and tricks. But first, a small introduction of myself. My name is Leen. I work for Joico for more than 10 years. I do it, let's say, with lots of passion. I have a, let's say, admiration for stylists, because I think they have a beautiful profession where they have to combine so many skills, being such creative talents, and then created with all those business-related things that they have to do. So I admire them very much, and I also adore working with them, and I adore sharing my knowledge during seminars and events, let's say, all over the globe. And I'm very happy actually to be part of the Joico family, because I believe for people that have already joined us over the past week, you can really see that people that work with Joico reunite, and they reunite as a family, or we have reunited as a family throughout the past weeks. And that is because I believe all of us, we have such a tremendous passion for the industry. And a lot of people that know Joico, you might already know Joico, or you might work with it, but maybe you don't. Just know that we deliver quality products, and we do that through innovation. We also stand for professionalism, which we strive to in our education as well. And above all, we all love beautiful, healthy hair. Now, I also have a guest with me. I can call you a guest, Paul.
Yeah, I'm a guest.
You're a guest. You're actually a guest in my home, I can almost say. Welcome into my home, and welcome everybody into my home. Yeah, Paul, I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself. First of all, thank you very much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you.
And I know that from a salon owner point of view, because that's actually also what you are, you have been owning your salon for, you were doubting yesterday when I asked you. You said, is it 9 years? Is it 10 years?
It's 9 years.
So 9 years.
9
yeah.
years.
So from a salon owner point of view, you can definitely give a lot of insight into this topic for today, and also you are part of the color design team.
Yep.
And also, again, from a creative point of view, you definitely can give some insight, because you have to mix that on the salon floor each and every day, that knowledge. So, and you've done some successful lives for us as well, so maybe some people will know you from there as well, but please introduce yourself.
Okay. Hey, everybody. Thank you all for being here. I'm Paul Watts, as Lynn said, salon owner for 9 years. I've been in the industry for, I think, 13, 14 maybe. It's, around that. And I've been very passionate about colour from the very first moment, becoming a hairdresser, really. When I was at college, I really struggled with formulating and understanding levels. And then this is something I really put my mind to, really researching and investing my time in education, like you guys are today. So I just want to say thank you for being here. I'm going to go through everything red, grey coverage, everything like that. So, that is a little bit about me.
Yeah, cool. And Paul, can you maybe explain to the people that are joining us today why you actually chose for Joico, or why you choose for Joico to work with this brand in the salon?
Yeah, I mean, it was the thing that drew me to it first was the healthy hair. And I know all of the team always say healthy hair, but it is the number one thing. It's the condition, the shine, the health, the strength that we get from using Joico products on our clients' hair. And also, one of the things I really struggled with was reds.
Yeah.
With looking at other brands that I'd worked with previous, nothing was really punchy enough or had the depth or tone. And then when looking at the powerhouse reds that we've got now and the XRs, that was a real draw for me, because I like to think I specialise in sort of vibrancy, but really sort of lifestyle vibrancy, nothing rainbow, something really wearable.
Yeah, well, it's good that you mentioned that, because we very often also hear that red shades are a decision maker for stylists when they choose to work with a color brand. And it's definitely something that we can offer within our portfolio, within the Joy Color portfolio. And indeed, it's good to hear what you stand for, because as a stylist, I think it's important that you promote that, what you stand for, what you actually want to show or want to give as a color result to your clients. Cool. Shall we do a little exercise with the people? Because I think it's always nice to have a little bit of interaction.
Yeah.
Now, guys, for everybody that is joining us and is active in the chat box and wants to participate, and I would recommend to do so, you see here some celebrities that have red hair, some type of red hair. And some of them are, let's say, natural, but some of them are colored. And I would like to ask you to type in the chat box the numbers of the people that you think are the natural redheads. So please type in the chat box. And I also have a colleague in there who is in the chat box, who is actually hosting you. So please type away in the chat box who you think is a natural redhead. And I can see some answers coming. Very good. Very good. So let's have a look. Who do you think, Paul? Is a natural redhead?
Number one's a given.
Yeah. And who else do you think?
Number 2, 3.
Yeah.
And it was a tough call between 6 and 7.
Okay.
I'll go with 6.
Okay. We'll see. Let's see. So if we have a look at the ones that are natural redhead, the correct answer was number 1, 2, 3, and 6. They are all natural redheads, celebrity-wise. And if you're wondering who the celebrity or what the name is again of celebrity number 1, Let me give you the answer. That is our own Els Phillips. And for the people that know her, they know that she has beautiful natural red hair that we all envy of. Yeah. But just indeed, as you can see with these celebrities, I believe it's fair to say that a red color is something that can make a personality. That actually is quite of a statement color, like blonde often is. And as with these examples of these celebrities, they are really recognizable also because of their color. Now, Paul, who do you actually like as a celebrity, or the red hair celebrity? Who are you? Who are your favorites?
Emma Stone.
Okay.
Even though she's not naturally redhead, she pulls off so many. Yeah, in the middle, the bottom round one is Emma Stone. She pulls off so many different copper red hues that make you think that she is natural. And I think because it's done so well, it suits her so well. Jess Glynn, big natural redhead.
Jess Glynn is the top one, with the long hair. Yeah.
Yep. Mega pop star at the minute. Katy Perry, another one who can sort of pull off anything from black to red to blonde. She sort of rocks it all. But I think she looks really good with red. Her skin tone and eye colour with this particular tone looks great. And then obviously Rihanna from years ago, when she went red, it sort of relaunched her career. And it was massive at the time. I just think we need to really rejuvenate our red market. We do have a lot in salon, but I think we need to look back at the trends and start trying to bring them up to date a little bit.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with what you were saying, because when a celebrity, for instance, goes to a red shade, a lot more clients will come within the salon with a picture of that celebrity wanting a red. But you can also see here from the pictures from these celebrities that, for instance, with Katy Perry, how that cool red actually makes her eye pop as well. So it's also about advising the perfect red color for your client. Again, matching their skin tone, right?
Definitely, because if you look at Katy Perry and Rihanna, for example, you've got Rihanna who is of a darker complexion. She's got darker eyes, darker features, and a warmer skin tone, and she's got that under hue of copper in that red. And like I was saying yesterday, I think I was saying it to you guys, was when people were coming in for the Rihanna colour, they were just expecting red, or stylists were just putting red on her hair, where you've really got to start to look and break down these colours. Like I was talking about in the last webinar and live, about making hair look expensive. And the way you make it look expensive is by hair health, shine, strength, but also it's suiting the client perfectly. Mm-hmm. And then looking at Katy Perry, she's got, is it blue eyes?
Yeah, I think it's like blue grayish almost, for what I can tell.
Yeah, and then having that underlying violet tone in her hair, it just works. Lipstick, makeup, everything.
Yeah, it's a whole package almost, you could say. Yeah. Now, that comes down again to consultation, I believe. So, of course, within consultation, and we have talked about it in previous sessions as well, consultation is the start of everything. It's the start of your color process, of course. And with a red, again, you will also see if that red shade will then match the skin tone of your client.
Yeah.
But what else is so important for you to detect also in the salon when you do consultation in relation to a red shade?
I mean, it's the blueprint for the hair, isn't it? So if you were going to be building a house, you need to make sure the blueprint is there before you actually go ahead and build it. Mm-hmm. And same with hair, there's no difference. So you've got to start looking at the underlying pigment. You've got to look at the natural level of depth, the natural level of warmth in the hair. And you can start we sort of automatically do it and looking at skin tone and eye colour. And when we're just looking at our clients in the mirror, we're as professionals, we're breaking it down. And one of the things I get asked a lot about consultation is, do you go through breaking this all down with clients in sections? And I don't, but I do. I don't break each thing down and say, right, I'm going to look at your skin tone now, and then I'm going to look at your eyes, and then look at your depth. We do it as professionals. So don't feel that if you're not breaking it down, you're not doing a thorough consultation, just make sure you're hitting all the right areas, and the consultation will be perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, indeed, yesterday you mentioned as well when we talked about it that again, defining that natural level is so important, because that is it's the starting point to define the journey that you are going to make and the product that you will choose, of course. And like, for instance, also when we look and when we make it a little bit more technical, let's say, when we look into the guidelines and the rules, it's nothing different actually when we would compare it to achieving a nice blonde or achieving a good gray coverage, because you have to take into consideration the same action points. So again, formulating according to the rules. And that is something that you also mentioned, Paul, during your lives, applying enough product to cover the density of the
saturation.
The hair.
Saturation is key for everything. And I don't just want to elaborate on that it's for reds, because it is for everything. But making sure you're getting that red pigment in there, because it's the pigment's bigger. The molecule of red is we want it to last longer. We want to make sure we're getting enough colour on there to make sure there's enough sticking.
Absolutely. Where there is no product can work, right?
No, 100%.
Yes. And then, of course, your appropriate developer, knowing what that developer does, I think is also crucial to know, knowing your product, knowing the power of your product, respecting its processing time. Maybe interesting to mention also, Paul, that with a red shade, we very often put 5 minutes extra with processing time, right?
Yeah.
To have that more, that better, let's say, deposit of pigment, and to have that better longevity. All important details that you also apply within your salon. Now, for instance, with a natural level, Paul, because I know we all use a tool, we all use our eye as a tool to define the natural level, but again, sometimes people do still find it difficult to define it. You yesterday mentioned that you have a tip. What's your tip to define it, actually?
For the underlying warmth?
Not for the underlying warmth, to see what natural level somebody actually is.
Oh, okay, yeah. So this is one of the things where a lot of new hairdressers, but also a lot of hairdressers struggle with, and it's finding the natural level of the client.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the best ways to do it is to get your swatch and put it next to their root, their regrowth, if it's just a regrowth you're doing, or if it's 100%, look at the mid-lengths and ends as well. But put the swatch on the head, take a picture, and then convert it to black and white, and it'll blow your mind.
Yeah. It's a good guide measure, and I like that tip. So indeed, and when you're experienced, you're not maybe struggling with this, but as you're also a salon owner, you also have team members, you also have juniors probably in your salon, so it's a good way for them also to train their eye, to check themselves, and to give them, let's say, more experience in let's say one of the crucial steps that they have to overcome when doing a consultation.
Yeah, and I think that's the one, probably the key moment that all things can go wrong. If you're getting that natural level, one level difference wrong, then your developer is way out, your colour choice is way out, and your result's going to really vary. So it's a massive thing to make sure you nail the natural level.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all summarized here on the slide, as the people can see. So it's the natural level. It's again percentage of gray, because, we're talking about red, but very often clients also have gray and they want a nice red shade. So again, it's important to know that percentage. Size of the regrowth, because if you're lifting, for instance, you might have to do a virgin application when the regrowth is too big. Maybe something that we will be confronted with when we can reopen the salons. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, and that is this probably one of the biggest things that I'm getting asked a lot on Instagram and Facebook, with messages people asking is, what are we going to do about when people come in and say, I just need my regrowth doing, and it's like 6 inches. So again, consultation is key. We're probably going to have to do consultations over the phone, or if not, on FaceTime, so we can recognise what needs doing, but also talking in zones. So we have zonal colouring, where zone 1 is your root, zone 2 is your mid-lengths and ends, zone is your mid-lengths, and zone 3 is your ends. So I think that's going to be a real key point in your consultation when we go back post-lockdown.
Yeah, And absolutely tackling each zone with its appropriate procedure, application, and formula again.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Now, you told me yesterday that you also use some tools. So how important are they actually within the consultation the Joico tools that we have on offer?
Yeah, I mean, the match kit?
I'll show you here on the slide.
Yeah,
it's the color match kit.
Yeah, the color match kit. I love it. Obviously, shade charts speak for themselves. The color consultation kit is unreal with the underlying pigments and levels. It's just that when I seen that, it blew my mind because it makes everything so simple. Shade charts, they're there for the reason we can adjust our formulations.
Mm-hmm.
And the colour match kit is something I do use. Some people don't like using it because it's a little bit new, and I think we don't really like going into new things. But the easiest way to break the ice with the colour match kit is in the comments as well. Is everybody using the colour match kit? Let's see who's using it. Because what I do is I'll put it on me. So I'll put it there and I'll ask the client to actually tell me, does that suit me? Does that suit me? And it breaks down rather than just running in and with a client, putting it next to their face and then being, oh my God, what is this? This is new. I've never had this. Just break the ice a little bit.
Yeah, cool. And maybe also for the people that are joining us and that are already Joico clients, we have the Joy Color Consultation Kit that is being revamped, let's say. And I have noticed, been told by my colleagues that will be available very, very soon in your markets as well. So the color consultation kit to define the natural levels, etc., is also going to come in a new packaging, in a new format.
Cool.
And it will also, additionally to the natural levels, also contain ash levels that we can also detect the level of your ash underlying client or the client that has like an ashy tone in a better way. So definitely also when you are reopening, guys, please also ask your consultants or the people from the Joico that you're dealing with for those new tools.
That's amazing. Because that's one thing as well that you notice with when you're looking at natural levels. If you look at an ash base, it often looks one level darker. And
Absolutely.
If you look at a warmer base, it often looks one level lighter. But turning that picture black and white will give you a better understanding. But also the new consultation kit's cool. I didn't know that. That's amazing.
That's a new thing.
Love that.
That's a new thing for you as well, Paul, indeed. And you already indeed said that you use the tool on yourself to show your clients. So that's I think it breaks the ice and it makes people, because they might not know what they have to see when the color is put next to them. So I think that's a really cool idea that you take yourself as a model, I could almost say.
What I did before this, I don't know if anybody else did this, was use a gold and silver sheet. And I'd wrap it round them here, basically like a gown. Wrap it round and you'd see their skin tone change or pop. It would either drop or pop, and depending on what they were wearing. But then when this colour match kit came out, it is so much better because you've got the depth, the temperature and the clarity to be able to get a perfect colour.
Yeah, cool. Now, shall we give a bit of an overview of what we have on offer in the Joy Color portfolio?
Yeah.
And Paul, can you help me to also check in the chat box? I would like to see how many of the people that are attending today are working with Lumishine. So that would be good to know if you could write that in the chat box, that we have a bit of an overview. So, and while Paul is checking for me, and I'm sure that he will update me while we go, I want to give you a bit of an overview. So Lumishine is our pre-blended line out of the Joy Color portfolio. It's, let's say, defined by the factor that many of the shades within the portfolio have N in the mix. So our natural is a combination of the three primary pigments, and many of our shades within the Lumishine portfolio already have N in the mix. That means that will have a, let's say, beneficiary outcome on the gray coverage, or it makes it, when working on gray levels, a little bit, let's say, easy also when you are looking for a gray coverage. And we would have shades like, for instance, a natural copper, or a natural red violet as, let's say, more intense shades, or for instance a natural red gold, which is also a quite intense red shades. Then also within the LumiShine portfolio, we have what we call our shades without a natural in the mix. And there we have a full copper, red copper, and a red violet. Now within LumiShine, we work, we name the colors or the shades either with their name, in this sense being the copper, or people often also refer to them with a number system. And then you can see the numbers also noted over there, because sometimes with other brands, the shades are numbered and not really have a actual name like many of the American brands have. So that makes it easy for people to adjust. And I'm thinking, Paul, that's also something that your team members also found easy when they had to adjust to LumiShine as a brand as well, that we have a number system and also work with a letter system to define the shades.
Yeah, and I think it's great having both, because you understand if clients have come from another salon and they're talking about 663 or do you know what I mean? Something like that. They're giving you numbers rather than shades. Then we can convert it all together. But also a great thing, I don't know if we're going to mention it here, is the Joico app. That's got conversion charts on there. So if you haven't got it, download the Joico app, because it's incredible.
Okay. And then we have the Powerhouse shades, as you already mentioned them as well, Paul. They were life-changing for you, so maybe you can give a little bit more info on them. Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if anybody knows why we never, or companies never had the punchy reds. Mm-hmm. Can we say?
Yeah, it's because of a certain pigment. It's a P5 pigment, indeed.
Yeah, and someone owned the patent, which is why a lot of colour houses didn't have very punchy reds or good reds. And then it was released, and then companies have jumped on it like Joico, and we're able to offer incredible red results now. The fading is unbelievable. And having the glosses as well to refresh. And we've just had a question in from someone which we'll answer in a bit later about refreshing. But having the permanence and the glosses like marry with the intensity, it's just unbelievable, because a lot of companies don't have that.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So within this, let's say, J5 resistant complex, we have moringa seed oil, which is full of antioxidants, and actually basically an antioxidant will protect the hair from the environment, from UV radiance. And as you all know, UV radiance on a color is the let's say the worst aggressor. So it will definitely protect the hair from that damage. And then that P5 dye, it's an incredible dye that will give very intense red results. So indeed, within these LumiShine shades, they give a very nice red result.
Hi guys.
We also have, yes,
Can I quickly jump in with a question from the audience?
Absolutely.
Maybe it's a bit too early in the session, so just tell and if that's the case. The question is especially on, for example, red copper shade on a level 7, where you use either VERO Color or LumiShine, but a level 7 red copper on the roots using 20 volume, and on the lengths and ends to refresh it with the same formula and 10 volume. And the problem is that the roots is always warmer and more vibrant than the ends. What could be a solution for the lengths and ends?
I think it's a subject that we were going to tackle later on as well. So my suggestion would be is that we quickly, let's say, go through the overview that we wanted to give to people, and then we will take that question, if that is okay for the attendees.
That's perfect. I'll read out a few other questions which I think are a bit in the same line, because people are writing, I struggle sometimes mixing to get a vibrant red 100. I believe that's probably supposed to be 100% gray, and if not glowing at the roots, it's hard to get the right balance. I struggle to get an intense copper in the LumiShine Demi and Liquid Demi, so I think there's a few questions here that are all related to getting it really nice and intense in several cases. So as you said, Lane, we will then park that for later on.
Yeah, cool. But I'm sensing else that most of the people have experience with our portfolio. So I can very quickly go over that overview, and then we can maybe dive directly into explaining some of the gray coverage rules, because that will, I think, already explain some or address some of the questions that people have.
Yeah.
So very quickly, guys, within VERO K-Pack color, we carry warm reds and cool reds, we call them. So we have reds with a warm tonality and reds with a cool tonality. And within that portfolio, we also have the XR shades, also containing that P5 red dye that you were referring to, Paul, to give that extra cool, very beautiful red shade. Now, when we then talk about, and I'm going to go a little bit further down, so the challenges, people are giving them to us as well already. People are having challenges with gray coverage. So I very quickly want to explain the rules, and maybe that will already answer some of the questions. And then I also have some situations for you, Paul, to also explain.
Yep.
So within LumiShine, guys, for everybody that is listening in, we have a variety of violet reds, coppers, and copper reds, and you have to mix them with N for gray coverage. If you would like, you can also add an intensifier to make them even more vibrant. So let me explain the rule. So as you can see, whenever the shade already carries an N in the mix, as I already explained, you only have to add a quarter of N when you come up to 75 up to 100% of gray. Yeah. So if we're talking about the red shades that are the NC, the NRV, and the NRG, more than 75% of gray, you add N. Excuse me. When you have the, let's say, the more vibrant red shades, they already have to have more N incorporated when you have more than 25% of gray. So whenever you go over 25%, you have to add N, and that N is then equal to the percentage of gray that you have, as you can see on the table. I think also very important to mention is that you always have to use 20 volume, mix it 1-to-1, apply enough products, and leave it on for 45 minutes. An additional tip is that you can always add in extra N if you want to have more solid coverage. So let's, for example, see if you have the NRG and you're working with that shade and you're finding, and your percentage level is between 50 to 75% of gray. Normally you shouldn't add N to have coverage, but let's say that you want to make it more solid. You can definitely already then add N into your mixture to make it more solid at that root area where you want to have that more coverage. Then, if I continue, of course, also it's important to share, and I believe, Paul, we are going to give the example in a minute. When you work on a gray root, you have to use a formula for gray coverage on the root. And very important is that you do not pull that formula through onto the lengths and ends, because then you're going to have difference in tonality. So we have some options here. Either you can work with the dimensional deposit cream, where we have the NRG as a shade, which is very vibrant, that you could use maybe for, let's say, refresh on the lengths and ends. And then what you are doing as well, Paul, you told me, is that you work a lot with the Demi-Permanent liquids onto the lengths and ends to actually give more vibrancy onto lengths and ends. And then you combine it actually with a covering formula on the regrowth and a, let's say, refreshing formula on the lengths and ends.
Yep.
I'm not sure if that already answered some of the questions that we had in regards to LumiShine. Were you following on the chat, Paul?
Yeah, so one of the questions that we get asked a lot is there was a grey one there, which is that the roots are glowing, and it's possibly just your formulation, just adding a little bit more natural in there to stop the glow. And another one was that the mid-lengths and ends always well, they don't come up as vibrant, and that could be a number of reasons. There could be build-up. It could be. I would try clarifying shampoo to begin with. So when you're looking at your client comes back in for a regrowth, and you're saying that her roots are glowing a little bit more, and you can't get the intensity through the mid-lengths and ends. When you've popped the root colour on, you could actually, what I do is I will mix up a clarifying shampoo, and I'll run that through mid-lengths and ends, and I'll let that sit on the hair and remove any build-up, and then I will run a gloss through the mid-lengths and ends to then put the tone back in, because if the hair is getting filled with pollution, product and things like that, you're not actually going to be able to get any vibrancy with it anyway.
And also what I found is also something that can often help when you are working on lengths and ends, where you can see sometimes it's the case when you're always very often working with like a cool red shade on the lengths and ends over and over again. The lengths and ends might sometimes lose a little bit of that vibrancy because of that cool pigment always depositing onto the lengths and ends. You might need to do what we call, in let's say technical terms, a rescue formula or a rescue method onto the lengths and ends, where you mix up some lightener with hot water, and that you cleanse the lengths and ends, just to take away that over deposit of pigment onto the lengths and ends prior then to refreshing them again with a liquid, for instance. That very also often helps to get more vibrancy onto the lengths and ends.
Yeah, it's a great tip. Great tip, Lean. This is something that we use. If clarifying shampoo doesn't work, we will then use warm water and lightener. And lighting, just to remove that pigment buildup.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, these were some of the, let's say, examples, and we had a beautiful examples also here of using the demi-liquids onto lengths and ends, where you can see the previous situation and then the after. So again, it's a very, very beautiful color with lots of depth and intensity. But I also wanted to talk about covering grey with VERO K-Pack color with our warm reds, because they also have a rule, and also covering grey with the cool reds. So when I explained also last week within the grey coverage seminar, within the VERO K-Pack portfolio, it's a pure tone color. So there you have to use, or you have to actually mix to obtain 100% grey coverage. And we do that by combining the three primary pigments, being my blue, yellow, and red. And obviously, when you're working with a warm red shade, the red will also come from that warm red shade. So on 50% of gray hair, that warm red shade would cover on its own. But when you're going above 50% of gray hair, you have to either mix it with an N, or you will have to mix it with a G, or you mix it with a B, depending on the tonality that you want to give to your red shade. If you're going to mix that red copper with an N, you will mute it down. On the other hand, when you mix it with a gold, which is quite warm, you will of course make it more vibrant and more fiery, or more powerful, you can say. And when you're working on 75 up to 100%, there the key rule is you have to mix 3 shades together. So, and also you have to drop one level than your target shade. So meaning that when you work, or when you want to achieve a level 6, you have to work on a level 5, or you want to achieve a level 7, you have to work on a level 6. And then again, mix 3 of the above shades as mentioned on the slide. So you would again take your RC, and you would then intermix it with, for instance, N and B to have full coverage. It's all a bit technical, I know. Cool reds have another rule to work with. They only cover up to 25% of gray hair. So if you have more than 25% of gray hair, we advise to mix them with an N to keep the cool tonality. So for the example, let's say that you have a 5XR and you have more than 25% of gray hair, then you add N into the mixture, being your 5N. Of course, you mix it with 20 volume, and you apply it onto the regrowth area and you leave it on for 45 minutes. Again, also a very important factor that we have to mention. Did we answer in this way some of the grey coverage questions that people had? Paul, can you check maybe in the chat? What's happening there?
Else is doing a great job. She's answering a lot of the questions that are coming through.
Okay, that's good.
So yeah, I think as we progress through the PowerPoint, we're going to be answering a lot more. But if there's anything we don't answer, yeah, there's a question and answers bit at the end. So just drop them in the chat, and then we'll answer them for you.
Yeah.
So Lynn, quickly jumping in here, indeed, the questions that came up also were maybe the lack of vibrancy using Lumishine demi-liquids, where I replied that also with the availability of new shades such as the 6 CCR, of which you were showing a picture, that there is a better and wider choice in getting a nice vibrant red also in the demi-liquid shades.
Yes.
And then one of the questions or suggestions in the chat box was where you guys were mentioning to use the lightener and water solution on the lengths prior to the application on the lengths and ends to get it more vibrant. There was a suggestion of base breaker. So there I gave the advice that base breaker is more ideal for natural hair, so that the VERO, the lightening powder and water would be a more effective choice. And I think that covers everything that has been asked so far.
Cool.
Okay, cool. Good to know. And yeah, before I touch base on base breaker, because that's also part of our presentation, I also, of course, want to mention that within the VERO CAPEC color portfolio, the dual system of working, of course, with a covering formula on the root and then refreshing the lengths with VERO CAPEC Crème, which is our demi-permanent cream color within that line, is actually an ideal option again to have good vibrancy on lengths and ends. And then base breaker is more the pre-softening formula that we would use or advise to work on a regrowth. Let's say the regrowth is really white and really resistant and you want to pre-soften with a red shade. I believe that could really help. But also when you have a client that still has a lot of dark natural in between and you want to make them lighter because they are desiring a quite light shade, this could be a solution. Mixing 1-to-1 with 20 volume, leave it on for 10 minutes. But I'm going to give the example first. So Paul, I think if you see to this result, it's a very great root. Yep. The lengths and ends are very, very vibrant. How would you then tackle that in the salon?
So, well, in salon consultation, you're making sure that you're using your indicators to see how much grey is actually in the hair. So like we've just spoken about, making sure you've got natural depth in there to make sure that we are putting in what the hair needs. So we're not getting those hot roots, those really glowy roots. Mm-hmm. But how do you get the lengths as vibrant as the roots, which is another thing. So we've touched on that we can clarify. We can do a bleach bath if that's what we do with the lightener and the warm water. Mm-hmm. But we can also do the demis. So taking the demis through the mid-lengths and ends. A lot of people tend to do a root application and then they'll either leave it a bit and then take it through mid-lengths and ends where you've got a much stronger deposit. And one of the examples that I use is if you've got a glass of water and then you pop a little bit of Ribena in there, like blackcurrant juice, mm-hmm. It's like a real pale purple, but you keep on pouring that blackberry juice in there, it's just going to get deeper and deeper and deeper. Deeper and deeper. And that's one of the issues that we seem to tackle a lot, is that there's just an oversaturation of the mid-lengths and ends, which is why we're not getting the vibrancy. So if you stick with demis, you don't really want to be pulling permanents through. With VERO, we can change those to demis with the VERO glaze. We've got Crème, and we've got the glosses. So that's how I keep them as vibrant as the roots and intensities.
Yep, we can intensities also refresh. We have an example later on as well, but intensities and top coating, for instance, a result also of a beautiful red result that you have achieved. and I'm maybe going to go to the next slide as well. If you see like a full red result and you want to create extra longevity for your clients, and they're asking for extra longevity, why not top coat it once you have done the regrowth and also the lengthenance? You rinse that out, you bring the client back to the mirror, and you dry the hair, and then you top coat it with the intensity red, for instance. That will give that extra kick, that extra vibrancy, and that extra longevity for your client as well. And it also allows you to sell an extra service.
Yeah, and I think touching on the base breakers as well, this is a prime example. So we spoke about this yesterday.
Yeah.
Most people, when they want a red, they're thinking they want something really, really punchy and really bright and vibrant. But sometimes that's not possible because we're left with a base which won't let us, with grey in there, won't let us push up to that level. So the red in this picture was one of my girls who did it, and it was the 6RR Powerhouse Red. But if you've got someone who's naturally grey, and say it's 50% grey, and they've still got a level 4 natural depth in there,
yeah,
you're not really going to get that vibrancy coming through with just using 20 volt because we have to cover the grey. So the base breaker would be great to lift it one level, and then we'll get the vibrancy. And because this client here with the grey would be grey from root to tip, we could then lift it all the way through with base breaker.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it's a very handy tool, and you have to, if you want full coverage and you're working with 20 volume, you have to make sure that you stick to that 20 volume, and then base breaker can be a tool to make your life a little bit easier, we can say.
But also, what I do like as well is, if, down to consultation again, if the client isn't really concerned about 100% coverage of the grey, they want you to get a little bit more translucency and dimension, then you could go in.
Yeah, you could go in, absolutely. Yeah.
But you're not going to get coverage of grey. I'm just going to put that out there. You're not going to get the coverage of grey, but you'll get a dimensional look which won't give them full coverage. Yeah.
And sometimes if you can agree that with your client, that is something that if they know up front, they know up front.
Yeah.
Right? Cool.
As a salon owner, I know that's something that gets thrown at us. So just putting it out there. Yeah.
Cool. Very good. Now, when we talk about fadage, it is important, of course, to recognize fadage and what are the reasons actually when a red color fades. And actually, we want to talk about, or you wanted to also talk about, Paul, I see these various red shades that you have sent to us from your salon work.
Yeah.
And what I can see a difference in depth. And that is because, of course, we have to take into account the factor that you have to work on a certain level if you want to have good longevity. And of course, if you take it quite light, as the middle picture, which is also quite pinkish almost, it's quite normal that you can't expect a tremendous longevity from such a shade. So what can you give as extra information on that?
Yeah, and being 100% transparent, the middle picture, she didn't get longevity to begin with, but we did it at Christmas. She came in, she was thinking about going back to blonde because she was originally blonde, and she went on holiday, so I thought, oh, that's no problem, we'll do it again and it will fade. But on the second time round, we didn't get the fade that we wanted. So because it was on blonde hair, first time around it faded dramatically, but then on the second application, the longevity was better. So a build-up of tone as well, but talking on the depth of clients and the natural levels. So if we look at the top picture on the left, we've got a 3RR on the root, and because it's a graduated bob, it's shorter underneath, so the 3RR goes all the way through there, and then the mid-lengths and ends through the longer panels is 6RR. And the reason for doing that is to make the hair look thicker, for one, but also for maintenance, manageability. So we don't really we'll see a tonal difference in grow out, but we won't see a level difference in grow out. And she also wanted vibrancy in there. So that's why we applied it the way we did with that colour. Longevity is incredible because we're actually sitting on the level it wants to be on.
Cool.
The middle picture, she is naturally dark, but she's been blonde for ages. So again, On there, I took 5RR on her roots, and that was 6RR through mid-lengths and ends on top of a grown out balayage. So that's how that is. The reason we did the darker root, again, manageability, maintenance, it kept it all together a bit longer. And then the bottom right was one of my girls, Alicia. She did this. This was 6RR all over on a natural level 6. So supported the colour incredibly. If that's one of the things that we sometimes take our levels too light when we're working with reds, coppers, and that's we're doing it to make sure we're getting the vibrancy, but you're not going to get the longevity. And looking at this chart here, so if we work from a 4 to an 8, that's the perfect levels to be applying and lifting to your reds, coppers. Because if you go any higher than that, you're going to get fadage. And if you think you need to bleach, I know there's a big thing at the minute with getting these rainbow colours and intensities, and they're bleaching them up to white, and they're getting these bright reds, pinks, coppers, greens, everything like that. But they're probably lasting about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Whereas if they want to go down that and you can consult that way, perfect. But the ideal levels are the 4 to 8, and which will give us our best results.
And I think, again, this slide makes it also very visual. So the deeper and the more violet your red tone, the lower the level should be. The more coppery and the more orangey yellow, of course, the more lighter the level has to be if you want to have perfect longevity. So if you respect this, then you will get good results and good longevity. Yeah. And also, again, your underlying pigment will influence with the tone that you put over the top. So you have to think about 2 things: what you are creating in the hair, and then the pigment that you're putting on top is the color that is going to reflect, of course, right?
Yeah, people think they have to lift to blonde to get a vibrant red or copper. Whereas if you're working with the underlying supporting pigment, when you think you bleach through hair, it starts and goes red, orange, yellow, and all that. If you work on those orangey red tones, it's going to support your reds and coppers so much better than taking it to like your yellows and pale yellows. Yeah,
cool. Right, cool. And then I think one of the other guidelines is to get, of course, even and vibrant results onto lengths and ends. And when you talk about lengths and ends, there's a few things that we also have to take in mind when we refresh lengths and ends.
Yeah.
Can you talk about your salon situation as well, Paul?
Yeah, of course. So if we look at the diagram 1, which is the emulsifying during the last 5 to 10 minutes, it's something that a lot of us do, and a lot of us are prompted by clients to do. So rather than them thinking, oh, I'm going to pay for a full head, we'll do the roots and then we'll emulsify through just to refresh. And as much as we can do that, if it works, basically. So we do need to consult if the last 5 to 10 minutes will actually give enough pigment to make it blend, then it's perfectly fine. But when you look at diagram 2, where we've got a higher volume through mid-lengths and ends and a lower through the roots, we're looking at that. So we're looking at balancing out our natural level through our keratinization through the mid-lengths and ends. So we're looking at breaking down the mid-lengths and ends first with a higher developer, and then using a lower developer at the root, because we've also got the heat of the root as well, and it's not keratinized. So you're going to get a better lift at the root, and then that higher peroxide will just bring that up and even it all out better.
Yeah, absolutely. And that would be the case when you were working on, let's say, natural virgin hair, for instance, if you want to have like a vibrancy. Yeah. But I think important to mention is indeed that bringing the color down to the lengths and ends with a specific formula for the last 15 minutes of your processing time is a good recommendation to have good vibrancy. Yeah. Cool. And then, of course, we already mentioned the color intensities. I'm hoping that a lot of the people here in the joining us today will know this portfolio or these products as well. They are fantastic. They give that tremendous shine. I think you can agree with me as well, Paul. And it's a top coat that you can overlay onto a result that you have already done, or you work with a formula on the regrowth and you use intensities on the lengths and ends to refresh them in only 20 minutes. And of course, with no heat and no developers. So that is the way that you would work in that case. And here again, we have a beautiful example where you see the before of the model and the situation that she had there. And then the mixture that was mixed together. So soft pink and blush mixed together and then applied actually from root to tip and left on for 20 minutes. How beautiful is that?
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
And the shine on the hair is just, it's unbelievable. Huh? So again, guys, I'm hoping that this can inspire you to also start working with intensities to top coat onto lengths and ends.
Yeah, and it's so low maintenance as well. Like the fade we get is, it's like you keep the tonality, you just lose the level. Mm-hmm. Is that right? Am I saying that the right way? You'll just low maintenance fashion colours that will fade out beautifully. You won't get like a competitor, they fade off green. They've got a greeny undertone. Ours don't. Like it's just they're really good.
They have a very beautiful fade. Absolutely. Now pre and post color care. I think we can never do a Joico seminar without talking about it, Paul. What do you think? It's also part of our DNA, we can almost say, at Joico, that we focus on it so much, on treatments. And I'm so convinced that when salons can reopen all over the globe, we will have to, take these guys with us, and that they will be a very big help in achieving good color results as well, because it actually allows us to work on the best base. So, can you maybe fill in on how they help you in achieving a beautiful red as well?
Yeah, I mean, they speak for themselves, don't they? The 4-step hair repair system and the Defy Damage. 4-step preps the hair incredibly. We're first starting off with the clarifying shampoo, which I mentioned earlier, and we're going to remove all the free radicals, all the build-up, anything that's in the hair that may stop it from getting a good deposit of colour. Cuticle sealer is another thing which will seal your cuticles, make them sit really smooth, make sure the colour is also sealed in there post-service as well. Reconstructing, if the hair isn't strong on the insides, then you've got no hope in keeping a red molecule in the hair. And then to finish it off, we've got the moisture. So if the hair is dry and porous, you're going to lose the tone so much quicker anyway. So what's the point in doing a vibrant colour or a blonde, say, because you're just going to lose it.
Absolutely.
And then talk about Defy Damage. If the hair is in good condition, and that's what hair repair system is for, that if the hair is completely blown out, that's why we use the 4-step hair repair system. But Defy Damage is just going to protect it, even out all the porosity. So when you're looking at your mid-lengths and ends, where you might be getting a little bit of inconsistency, where your roots are really tonal, really rich, but your roots, your mid-lengths and ends, fade away and get that sort of orangey red rather than a red, or they might get a little blonde hint if you're going more copper. It's because the porosity and the pH balance throughout the hair isn't where you need it to be. So the Pro Series 1 fixes all that for you, and then at the backwash we're going to lock it all in with Pro Series 2.
Absolutely, and it's so easy to use also. The Pro Series 1, it's such a handy product. It's quick and easy. I believe that it's been the perfect addition to, let's say, our treatments that we have within Joico, and it makes us even more complete, actually, as being the healthy hair company.
Definitely, and the aerosol is just genius because we're not mixing anything extra, and the client actually sees it. Because I'm not sure how many stylists will actually show someone dropping an additive into their colour and mixing it to create that theatre. And that's something I also like. When we're creating the theatre in the salon, and we're talking about from consultation all the way through to the finish, is create the theatre, create the excitement, and get clients excited about what you're using. And if they see you using something, they're going to ask about it. So I try and use, even with aftercare and products, put them in front or talk about them, let the clients hold them, and it will also help sort of shift them as well.
Absolutely. Thanks for all the tips, Paul. It's really cool, really great. And then when you were working, or when you are working on, let's say, more porous hair, definitely, because we want to have that kick of vibrancy with a red shade.
Yeah. Also,
of course, with blonde, this is a product that we must not forget. It's our HKP, professional HKP. It's a porosity equalizer, we could almost say, that you would spray prior onto lengths and ends before you bring color down onto the lengths and ends.
Yeah.
And again, it's a fantastic product full of our reconstructive technology, I could almost say, and it will even out the porosity. It also makes it easier to apply product onto lengths and ends, and it just ensures for a nice, even and vibrant end result.
Yeah.
And then, of course, no consumer leaves the house or the salon without the right home care maintenance. Right, and definitely with a red color, which is a statement color that you want to preserve as long as possible. We have, of course, the option of working with Color Endure for the, let's say, healthy color-treated hair types, and then you also have color therapy for the more damaged hair types, color-treated hair types, giving the best longevity possible, as I'm sure that your clients all leave with these products, right? Because they have to carry also responsibility for maintaining their result at home.
Yeah, but again, being truthful as a salon owner, the retail is a very, very hard upsell because they're already investing so much in their hair. If they're investing in their treatments in salon to make sure, but aftercare is no doubt the thing that clients need to invest in the most, and just having a bit of reference to it. And try and incorporate it into more like a lifestyle change, more than trying to sell it. Try and prescribe it, I would say. But it is hard to get a client, obviously a dream client, to come in, have the beautiful colour, the treatments, the aftercare. But I think bringing the whole package together is something that I speak about in the 3V course.
Yeah.
And try and bring where there's a makeup artist who does it very well, and she'll say, look, if you want that look, you need these products. So I think in consultation, that's where we need to be talking. If anyone's talking about retail, about red hair or copper hair, or we need to be saying, okay, before we even look at the shades, we need to be saying what your maintenance schedule will be. And I think that's the time to hit it and to get them on board with your retail plan, and then we can discuss the colour.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I believe also, Paul, what you say is indeed right, that if you want to have that look, you have to make people aware that that it comes with a package and a responsibility. And I can speak for myself as well, looking to makeup. The things that I've bought without thinking about, am I really going to use it? Because it's a bit impulse buying what you do. But if you buy it through a recommendation, you just have what you need. Yeah. I have so many stuff at home that I don't use. And that I spend money on. So I believe it's indeed better to say, okay, this is what I want to use. This is the type of look that I want to achieve. And these are the products that I need. And you just buy them and you stick to them. I don't think that if we would go in and look into consumers' bathrooms, there are so many products there that they impulse buy and think, oh, this is what I need, but they end up not using it. So I think as a stylist, as a salon owner, we also have to have the confidence to, okay, not address it in this way, but to say to them, this is indeed what you need.
But also, what I've just started doing on our Instagram, on my, was it the salon one? The salon one, sorry. I've been working with the collaboration between the makeup industry and hair industry for a while now, as you've seen from the 3V. And what I've just started to do is women and some men with makeup, they invest so much more heavily in their skincare regime and their makeup. So I've just started to relate it. So on our Instagram at the minute, we've got exfoliator. So a girl is there exfoliating her skin and saying most people exfoliate their skin to get a perfect complexion or a perfect base. Why don't we do that with our hair? And then the next slide is the clarifying shampoo. And that's how I try to relate the products too. So with the new serums that people use for their makeup to get the perfect complexion, we've got our K-Pack serum and we've got our oils.
Yep.
And that's something that we can then relate to. So going back after post-lockdown, I'm going to be with the whole team putting together a consultation briefing that is for blondes, for reds, for brunettes, and the products that support it, but also what they can relate it to make it easier to relate to everyday lifestyle.
And I like the connection that you make there, because indeed for a lot of consumers, skincare is much more relatable than hair care. So I think it makes them understand it even better.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Cool. Thank you so much. I think this has been really, really, really informing, Paul. And I believe that we have asked or that we have answered to many of the questions already. Yeah. I don't know that we have more questions in the chat box, guys.
Well, there was a question which I did already answer, but it was asked, let's say, more privately to just the panelists. And I thought it was a really good one to maybe also throw in the group so that everyone can hear it. And that was the question if color intensities would already be able to deposit some tone, for example, on a level 6 natural. Mm-hmm. Where I did already reply back that especially with a slightly darker shade such as a magenta, that is definitely the case. Yeah. And I just thought I wanted to open and unmute my microphone because I wanted to point out, guys, that our lovely Lane once, if you look at her hair color, she was probably a little bit lighter than she is now. I think she was colored like a level 6 natural ash. And we had actually put an intensity shade, a red, violet, magenta-ish shade on top of that. And she actually felt she had to take it out again because it came out so vibrant. We thought it was very beautiful. Yeah, for her, it was a bit too strong. But just to give you an idea of what it can already do on even a colored base level 6 natural ash, if you, of course, use the right intensity shade and not using one of the light shades, of course. So just wanted to throw that out because I thought it was a very good question.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great question.
Thank you. Yeah, guys, I used to be very exciting and I used to wear red hair, but now I'm really boring and I turned to more neutral shades, let's say. But indeed, as Els mentioned, the intensities noting on the packaging as well is that they will have a notification as of which level that you can use them as well. So I think that's a very handy tip for you as well to know. And the deeper shades, definitely, you can already start applying on darker levels. Don't know if you have some tips, Paul, maybe that you can add on?
For maintaining vibrancy?
And also the intensities in the use, yeah?
Yeah, intensities, again, like I said, it's a very low maintenance colour choice to add a little bit of fun. Mm-hmm. But if you're working on lower levels, anything really below, 7, you're going to need one of the ones which are highly pigmented to get any sort of reflect. If you're working 8 or above, you can have a little bit more of a play. But if you want the vibrancy, you're going to have to pre-lighten or refresh over a colour that's already in the hair. Mm-hmm. And then to maintain vibrancy, again, good aftercare. Treating your hair or telling your client to treat their hair at least once a week, at least, because we do all the work in the salon and they leave feeling lovely, their hair looks great, and then they'll come back in 6-7 weeks and it's like, my hair never looked the same as you did it. What did you do? And you used a professional brush, professional hairdryer. You didn't really use straightening irons. If you did, you used it at low temperature. You used a heat protector. You used a good shampoo conditioner. You treated the hair and you sealed it. And I think we need to break that down to everybody. If people, when clients come into me and they said, oh, my colour didn't last as long. And I love it because I can say, well, you didn't take the shampoo conditioner I recommended. You've obviously been straightening it. Oh yeah, I have to straighten it every day for work. Yeah, like what temperature are you straightening it at every day? Sometimes twice a day, and that's what's lost. We can't look after the hair when they're not with us. So we need to give them advice on how to do it at home. And what we do in salon is with the hair repair system, we prescribe that for anyone with really damaged hair or when they first come to us to make sure it gives us a really good base to sit on. We do charge £40 for it, but we give them a full-size shampoo conditioner to take away, because we like to help them look after their hair 365 days of the year. And that's our guarantee to them. If they invest in their hair in the salon, then we're going to invest in your hair at home.
It's fantastic, Paul. Yeah, and very good tip. And indeed, we talked about home maintenance within a shampoo and a conditioner. But as you mentioned, clients are so much more today than ever before using heated tools as well.
Yeah.
Flat irons, but also curling tools now, because the more textured curly look is again also coming into style. So yeah, definitely good point that you touched on there. Couldn't agree with you more.
Cool.
Let's see what more questions that we have. You also wanted to talk about this, Paul.
Oh, chocolate browns. Yeah. So chocolate browns are something that clients really, really want, because they love the tonality, they love the depth, they love the shine because of it being a deeper brunette. But does anybody in chat say this? Does anybody, when you start discussing a chocolate brown and you start to talk about the underlying sort of violet reds or red tones in there, do clients sort of get turned off? It happens to me a lot, because they just think they love the richness and the fullness that a chocolate brown will give them. But as soon as you start talking about it contains red, are you okay with that? They're sort of turned off it immediately. Not everyone, but most. And this is why I think chocolate brown belongs in this red family, because we have to let the client understand, because then in 6 weeks time, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, when that red undertone starts coming through, there's going to either be a complaint to say, oh, my hair's gone really red, what did you do to it? But if we're consulting them and telling them that there's already a red undertone, it doesn't have to be warm red. So if they want, or we consult saying that tonality will suit them better, put an RR in there or an RC. But we could also go over to the violet, and we could create more of like a cooler chocolate brown. And I always refer that to sort of like the Cadbury's chocolate brown, because of the violet packaging. And as soon as you start to talk about that, then the client who didn't want the red brown is then a little bit more enticed into go to that more violet red brown.
Cool. Yeah. And as you explained, and I'm seeing that people agree with what you're saying, it's indeed a very, very valid point that you have made here, Paul. Absolutely. Now, what are some of your red favorite formulas?
I've got them here. So my red favorite formulas are, doing, like the pictures, 3RR root with a 6RR end. I just think it blends lovely. If you are blending it with your fingers or a brush to mix that mid band together to create like a 4.5, 5, I just think the blend out is lovely to create a real low maintenance but still vibrant red look. A 9NG plus 6RR, playing around with formulas to create a little bit more of like a rose gold sort of colour. 6NC and 7NWB is creating a warmer brown, which is really nice. You've got the undertones in there from the NWB to support it, but the NC in there just gives it that little bit of a pop. Anything NG and NC mixing together are beautiful. Chocolate formulations, 6N and 5RR on a 3-to-1 ratio, and then a 5N and a 3RR for the darker colours, again 3-to-1 mixing ratio, 3 being the N, 1 part being the RR, gives really nice. Thank you, Els.
She's writing it for you. She's a perfect assistant.
Gives really nice chocolate browns.
And if you're referring to like you said a bit like the rose gold. If I then take it back to VERO K-Pack color, I absolutely love mixing like my RG with B, and then tackling a bit of my IMV into there, like a tiny drop. It's so beautiful. And it's also one of the shades that I believe is coming back more and more and more. People are also asking for that dusky kind of coppery kind of shade. So
and we've got beautiful. It in intensity as well.
Yeah, true, indeed. Do you have some favorite techniques for real reds? Or do you do techniques like color techniques, or how do you do that?
Yeah, I've got a lot of clients who've got naturally copper hair, and I either refresh with clear and a drop of my favourite red tone. So it might be adding a little bit of 6RR into, say, a lot of clear, and it just adds that sort of shimmer. Again, with natural coppers, just putting an NC over gloss. I wouldn't be using a permanent. I'll be using glosses because I don't want there to be any regrowth. I want there to be no lift. I just want it to complement. So if you've got natural redheads come in, consult their natural level, get their tonality, and with intensities you can shift it. So if they want a cooler natural red, then they can, I don't know what that is. I had a timer. Sorry. I don't know what the timer was for.
Don't worry. Things happen.
Then you could be using on a natural warm red, you could move it over a little, maybe the rose gold, because that's a little bit sort of cooler, duskier. That could mute it slightly. And if you wanted to really enhance it, go in with like a CC.
Cool. Els Phillips, when we get back to the studio, be prepared to receive some of these formulas, I would say. Yeah, I hope you're ready. So, guys, that has brought us almost to the end, and we want to ask if there are more questions that you maybe want to ask Paul. Did we answer to everything?
If we answered it, put yes, we answered it in the chat, 'cause it's always good to hear that we're answering it. But questions, just, I don't even know what other questions there could be. I think what we didn't really touch on, it's been quite heavily Lumishine. But I think if some of you are using VERO, get creative. Understand the rules with the grey coverage, like Lean said, with mixing your 3 natural levels and bases to get coverage. But it's a tone-on-tone colour. So if you're really creative, then go wild with it. I mean, that's what I used with my masterpiece picture that was in earlier. I just had to create a Monet-inspired look. So I looked at his paintings and I was watering down, I was making some more intense, I was mixing tones together and just created my own masterpiece. That's the beauty of having the luxury that we have within our Joy Color portfolio. We have the 2 beautiful brands. Yeah. They both deliver exceptional quality. One brand is, let's say, a little bit more straightforward, if I can say it like that, when you use it. But then you have that beautiful brand, VERO K-Pack color, that is so creative and that allows you, unlimited options. And I just love both of them. Yeah. You have a client for each and every one of them, I believe. Oh, definitely.
So I'm sure that you know Paul maybe already on Facebook, but if you don't, please also connect with him because he's probably more than happy, or at least that's how I know Paul. He loves to connect with other people online as well. So if you would like to, then please be our guest. And then we would like to invite you to go and have a look onto our Joico education site, or let's say our Joico website, where you can find some more education that we have coming up. We have another session planned next week, and we also have some new plans for the next coming weeks. And then please also follow us online via Facebook and Instagram on Joico Education and Joico Europe. And then, of course, that leaves me to thank Paul for his precious time, or for his time, for all of his tips and tricks, advice, all of his knowledge. It's been really great, Paul. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's great.
And of course, I also want to thank all of the people that joined us today. It's so nice that we can reconnect through this platform. I would love to see you live in front of me as well, but we have to stick with the rules and the regulations just a little bit longer. And I hope that you're all staying in good health and that we can all, in the future, reunite as soon as possible. And again, also a very big thank you to the team that is always in support, marketing team, the education team. Big kisses to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Virtual hug. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Bye-bye.
Thank you. you.